I'm Rodney Russ. I'm the owner, well, I'm the founder and owner of Heritage Expeditions. Go off this one. All right.
If you like nature and you like wildlife and you like going to a really unusual, beautiful place, the subantarctic islands is fantastic.
And it's like no other place on Earth. You have literally millions of seabirds clouding the sky at dusk. They crash through the canopy, they're running around, squawking. Like, it is their domain, and it's such a privilege to be there. It's just so kind of raw and in your face.
Going and seeing these amazing rough places that not many people get to see and experiencing it, and then bringing the awareness to those places, it's quite special. And you're somewhere and you realize how rough and how remote it is, and you realize how lucky you are to be there.
I mean, Rodney Russ has clearly got decades of experience. I don't know how he's managed to pull it all together. It's pretty impressive.
Very special welcome to the Spirit of Enderby and to this expedition, the Galapagos of the Southern Ocean, a journey that will take us to some of the most amazing islands on the planet. It's a vocation, it's a calling, it's something that I have to do. I mean, I fell in love with these islands way back in the 1970s as a young biologist. I really believe that we've got to share the wild and wonderful places of New Zealand, you know, mainly the subantarctic islands. We focused on the real iconic wildlife areas that had a great story that I didn't think were being told. Obviously now we've spread our operation international. You know, we work in the Pacific, we work in Russia. Again, with the same thesis, with the same idea that we are telling the story of these unique places. One of the biggest challenges is the ocean itself. I mean, it is the Southern Ocean. You know, we talk about the roaring 40s, the furious 50s, screaming 60s. And we're working in the roaring 40s and the furious 50s. So it can be uncomfortable traveling down there.
You can't stop the waves, and people want you to stop the waves. You can't make the boat calm. That being said, it's worth it if you're able, if you're fit. It's not a cruise, it's an expedition. And so that's quite important that people know that coming in so they don't feel shortchanged. If they know that it can be rough, but it's worth it, and they see amazing things, then they'll be happy.
Nobody's ever died from seasickness that I know of anyway, and people do get over it. But once they've landed, say, on Enderby or been on Campbell or been on Macquarie, that's all forgotten.
Overall, it's a small boat, and that's great because you kind of get to know people reasonably well. The boat's been around these environments many times before, so I think you get confidence with the fact that it's so, whatever happens, it's happened before, and it can be dealt with in a very positive fashion.
We're a family owner-operated company, and one of the very few owner-operated companies left in the sort of this expedition, the size expedition companies. I mean, I'm on most of the expeditions that we run down there, or it's one of my sons who have had a big involvement in the industry and in the islands as well.
Been travelling down to the subantarctic and Antarctica for the last 22 years. Started out when I was 9 years old. One thing that Aaron and myself were privileged enough to do was Mum and Dad were never determined that we had to stay in the industry, and they also encouraged us to go off and see and work for different companies to gain an understanding of the industry, but to also gain an appreciation for what we do and what we do in different ways.
The heritage staff themselves who have been running our Zodiacs and just being involved, meals, everything, every part of it. You had to see that to believe it, just how a staff could do so much for their fellow travellers.
We'll push the boundaries, sea condition-wise. We'll push the boundaries Zodiac operations-wise to make sure people get what they've come for.
Heritage Expeditions, I think, has done an enormous amount to make people aware of the Southern Ocean, the subantarctic particularly. It paves the way for people to be able to come to a place that they've never even thought of before and learn how very, very special it is.
I like the fact that they are scientists or expeditioners first, and then their sort of crew second. To me, that's a little bit more real. I think giving good service and looking after people is important, but more important to me is the knowledge of the people who are running the expedition.
It is completely about the expedition. And it's not about the luxury vessels, it's not about the after dinner program, it's about the expedition. People are here to see what they want to see, and as an expedition leader and as a company, you're here to facilitate those clients to get the best experience possible.
If you take the combined expeditions of me and my two sons, it's getting up into the hundreds, so nobody else can match that sort of level of experience. And the other thing is, because of our long association with the islands, we actually have some permits and permissions that aren't available to other companies who are running bigger vessels, bigger ships. We work closely with the Department of Conservation, and we hold a commercial concession that allows us to operate down there. We help them out as much as we possibly can with providing obviously information and data from the islands that we collect, and there's a similar arrangement we have with the Tasmanian National Parks and Wildlife Service. So it's a great partnership. I see it as a partnership where, you know, both are committed to managing and protecting the islands, and we can work together on it. In my approach to conservation is, I compare it like a three-legged stool, and all three have got to be in place so the whole thing stands up. And the three key elements are research and management, and the third one, which is often overlooked and hasn't been done very well, is advocacy. And that's the sharing, the empowering, the telling the story, and that's what I've tried to do over my career down there.
That's on the top of the list for a lot of Southlanders, a lot of New Zealanders to get down to these islands, and many people don't in their lifetime. So yeah, it's one thing that really stands out.
I would describe it as a shipboard adventure as much as anything, and then with the chance to go ashore and see things that they probably never even considered before. During the course of any of these trips, I try to introduce them as we go to the animals that they're going to see, particularly the marine mammals, for that's my field. And any of my lectures are bent around the season that we're in, and try to just give them a general feel for what the animals are like, how important they are to New Zealand, and how important they are just as a species, really.
I think also that the crew here obviously know what they're doing. They've got a big science background, which to me is fantastic, because it means you can ask them questions and you can learn. You know, the presentations that the individual birders and scientists have made have been really interesting.
Not enough people know that New Zealand is the seabird capital of the world, and so I like to parade that fact and get them excited about birds and seabirds.
For me, easily the most special thing was being here at Campbell Island and walking on that beautiful boardwalk with those fantastic wide vistas, and then being able to sit down close to the Albatross, you know, at a respectful distance, but still really close compared to what you would normally experience them, and photograph them and see how they interact with each other. That was easily the most special thing.
I love this job because people are so excited to be here, and we just feed off that enthusiasm. They're such special parts of the world, and not enough people get to share in their wonder.
When you take people ashore and you can just see it click.
And I'd say every passenger goes through a transformation.
They've spent a lot of time on the ocean, pretty rough out there, and then suddenly they get to shore and they realise why they do this.
The king penguins, the big field of king penguins with their little ones, just blew me away.
My favorite moment has probably been being grunted at very close range by many, many elephant seals.
It's amazing. I haven't been anywhere that has got such a thick covering of wildlife.
It's actually seeing them start to comprehend the beauty, the history, the wildlife. You know, it starts very small. Some people obviously know about it, but when they experience it, it's in their eyes, it's in their face, it's in their language, it's in their photographs. When they start making that connection, that's what I get the biggest thrill out of.
If you're thinking about taking on this adventure, you should do it. You should be realistic about how long it takes to get here and the ocean conditions, but it's worth the effort, and the effort is part of what gives it value and makes it unique.
Just do it. Just take the step and don't worry about being seasick or all the other sort of things that you think might be bad about it. Just get on the boat and you'll have an amazing time.
Come on board, it's going to be amazing, it'll blow your mind. It's an experience like you've never had before. It'll be challenging and rewarding and something you remember for the rest of your life.
It's an extraordinary place, it's an extraordinary area to work in with a huge wealth and diversity of animals and plants to look at, and I think it's well worth going.
This trip so far has made me feel like a part of a larger world. It's made me feel small because this is such an enormous wild ocean, a wild place. And it's also made me feel invested in the future of this place.
It's made me feel like I'm standing on the edge of the world. And that's fantastic.
These islands are so special, so important in Southern Ocean ecology and biodiversity that we need to preserve them. And the only way we're going to preserve them is if people know about them, support them, and support the management efforts and the reservation status. So, yeah, there are times when I could have given it away, but I'm called back all the time because I have this calling, this vocation to actually share them with the people to ensure that they are protected.
The company's built on advocacy, the company's built on a reputation of doing different things, and it's something that we hope that we can continue into the future and then bring our children in to do the same style of thing, but giving them the ability to go out and do what they want to do in their life. And that's something that Rodney and Shirley were very passionate about, is you don't have to do it, but once it's in the blood, it's in the blood.
I mean, these islands are forever, not just for our lifetime. So I hope the islands are better off in many ways than they were when I started.